Welcome to Newsmax Daily for Friday, August 30th, 2024, the fifth and final Friday of the month already, the start of the big Labor Day holiday weekend, and wherever you may be going and however you may be getting there, do yourself a favor, give yourself some extra time, especially if your plans involve an airport. It's the unofficial end of summer, right? Especially up north, but there are still 23 more official days of summer left. And appropriately so, today is National Beach Day, where many people will be heading for the weekend and where the President of the United States is, has been, and will be permanently. Nobody seems to care about where Joe Biden is or what he is or isn't doing anymore. It's all about who is going to be the next president, right? Forward momentum. And after 39 days as the nominee, Vice President Harris finally gave a sit-down interview, which, remember, wasn't live.
As Vice President, I did not ban fracking. As President, I will not ban fracking.
That was on last night's CNN interview. This was on CNN 4 years ago as a 2020 Democratic presidential candidate.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California.
And when asked if she had any regrets about telling the American people just a couple of months ago that Joe Biden was sharp as a tack and fit to serve.
Do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart.
The vice president is standing by President Biden's mental acuity. Let's recap Newsmax's coverage of the speech with former White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley, who was a part of the coverage with Katrina Zisch and Greg Kelly.
Hogan, what are you thinking?
This was a disaster from the word go. The first question, I'm looking at my notes here. What are you going to do on day one? Support the middle class, she said. We have to find a new way forward, hope and optimism. Yeah, well, I went to the grocery store today. I tried to pay for my groceries with a new way forward. I tried to pay for it with vibes, and they wouldn't allow me to do that. None of this stuff is going to help the American people. And Dana, to her credit, I don't think the interview overall was not tough at all. I think it was weak, and there were missed opportunities by Dana, no question. But when she asked her, so you think it's okay? You think Bidenomics is a success? She basically said, yeah, it's a success. Tim Walz was a problem in the interview, too. Mark alluded to that. When he was asked about his stolen valor, he didn't admit to lying about it and instead said, hey, look, people know who I am. I think it was a grammar mistake. I mean, my goodness gracious, she has no prescriptions for success for the people of this country. And that entire interview was a missed opportunity for them, but a massive opportunity for the Trump campaign to hammer her on her failings, not just in this interview, but for the policies up until this point. A real problem. And also, just one more thing. When they brought up the fracking in Pennsylvania, Dana said, so you were you wanted to ban fracking in 2019. Now you're saying you don't want to ban fracking. What gives? And she says basically, no, my position hadn't changed. Yeah, I was for it, and now I'm against it. It's no different. It's the same position. It's insane to listen to this person speak.
Yeah, Mark, I want to continue on that. She said that my values have not changed. That was her response to the unstated, why are you flip-flopping about so many things? Of course, Dana Bash didn't phrase it that way. But again, my values haven't changed. But she went right in on the Green New Deal. Now, that is about $90 trillion that she would like to spend. So she said it right there. That's what she's focused on.
Well, I can tell you one thing. If Hogan and I were in our old jobs, we'd be texting each other right now, writing the campaign ad based on my values haven't changed. Illegals should be decriminalized. They should get free health care. Police should be defunded. The Green New Deal should be passed. A baby should be killed up until the moment they're born. All of the radical things she has said, her values have not changed. and now she owns all of them.
That's Mark Lauder, Chief Communications Officer at America First Policy Institute and former Director of Strategic Communications for Trump-Pence 2020. The one thing the vice president made very clear throughout the interview as she was asked about flip-flopping is that her policies and values have not changed.
My values have not changed.
And on several occasions spoke about being an attorney general and a prosecutor.
I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California, prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border.
Back to Greg Kelly.
All right, so in 2010, she ran for Attorney General of California. It was a very competitive race, actually. The man running against her, Steve Cooley, the former Los Angeles County District Attorney, almost won. And that's a tough thing to do in California as a Republican. Take a look at the results. Talk about almost winning 0.5%. Steve Cooley, we like you a lot. You could have saved us this trouble, just another 0.5% or so. Hey, welcome back. It's good to see you. And first of all, what'd you think of tonight's interview?
I try to focus on the law enforcement issues. When she says she went after transnational gangs, that is not true. I wish one reporter would just ask her to name the gang. She embraced the sanctuary city policies of San Francisco. She hid illegal alien convicted drug dealers from ICE, transported them away from her county to Southern California, where they committed more crimes. So that whole arena where she's trying to play to be a prosecutor is false. She is a Soros prosecutor through and through. That's who she is as a prosecutor.
And Steve, you're telling us that, but even in that interview, they didn't even address her soft on crime policies or if she actually would bring law and order back to the United States. They just completely ignored that topic altogether.
Well, it's not a good topic for her. She has a horrible track record as the district attorney of San Francisco, even as a deputy DA in Alameda County. She was a nothing burger. As Attorney General, she was generally considered by most elected DAs as the worst Attorney General in their experience. So don't let her tout this prosecutor thing and fool people. She was not a good prosecutor.
That's former Los Angeles County District Attorney Steve Cooley on Newsmax. Greg and Katrina also spoke with body language expert Scott Rouse.
My first thought was not about me, to be honest with you. My first thought was about him. To be honest.
To be honest.
To be honest, right.
The way she was leaning back, take a look at the video one more time, and there's something, I don't know, spent and exhausted. Scott, what are you seeing here?
Well, we're hearing, let's talk about what we're hearing first, because we're hearing what's called fading facts. As she talks, she gets quieter and quieter. She talks about how she was concerned with him. And quite often when someone's being deceptive, they'll get quieter as they get to the answer at the very end of what they're saying will get quieter. We hear that here big time. And we don't see any of the cues that let us know she's actually being sad. This is a put-on sad face. We don't see anything in up here called the grief muscle. We don't see anything in the chin boss. We don't see the sides of the mouth kind of jerkily coming down a little bit on the sides there. We don't see any of those things that show us that she's actually sad. And then she turtles a little bit. She starts getting smaller, which we've seen her do that before when she's being deceptive. So this is I think she was probably concerned with herself, but adds that part in about him, so she makes her look better. Everybody wants to be the hero of their own story, so obviously she's going to do something like that. But in this situation, as she gets quieter, she gets smaller, and her voice goes into fading facts. That right there is chock full of deceptive cues right there. So I don't believe that in the least.
That's body language expert Scott Rouse on Newsmax. And let's go to American Agenda for a Bob Brooks breakdown.
Okay, welcome back to American Agenda. We all know Kamala Harris has done quite a bit of flip-flopping on issues now that she's running for president. She's done so when talking about fracking, being the border czar, healthcare. We've seen a complete 180 in her policies. But how about flip-flopping now on her economic plans that she just announced a couple of weeks ago? I'm not even kidding about this. What appeared to be the cornerstone of her economic agenda, price controls, don't seem to be anymore. So first, let's revisit what she announced in North Carolina when we first got a taste of what her economic plans were, or if she even knows what they are anymore. Let's listen.
I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
Obviously, she said price gauging. She meant gouging, or maybe she didn't. Maybe she has no idea. Anyways, what she said was she was going to unleash the government on American businesses and tell them what to charge via a bill through Congress. Death to free markets, bring on the price controls. Well, apparently, though, word going around D.C. is none of this is true. That Harris actually has no intention at all of following through with this. Here's what Politico is now reporting on the topic. Quote, such a bill has no chance of passing Congress anytime soon, even if Democrats win the White House and Congress this November. That is according to 6 Democratic lawmakers and 5 Democratic aides who were granted anonymity to discuss the matter candidly. These people said Democrats in Congress have been privately telling critics that this part of the Harris plan is not viable. Rather, they've argued it's a messaging tactic, a way to show that she understands food prices remain an economic burden for many Americans and to redirect voters' anger about inflation onto the corporations in a way that progressives in particular have now cheered. So don't blame me, Harris is saying. Blame American businesses that had to raise prices to stay afloat during inflation. So then let's take it a step further, though, and then we find ourselves back to square one. If she's not implementing price controls, then Kamala Harris has offered nothing yet about what her plan to combat inflation is. There's nothing on it. In fact, last week in Chicago at the DNC, it's reported that one of Harris's top economic advisors, Brian Nelson, couldn't even cite any specifics when it came to price gouging. Quote, pressured on the issue during a roundtable hosted by Bloomberg News, Nelson could not provide any specific examples of companies that are actually doing this, that are actually price gouging. And now we're starting to see that overall Democrat machine is starting to walk this back as well. Here was Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who is the acting co-chair for the Harris campaign, recently on Meet the Press when asked if this was nothing more than a gimmick.
Well, I think people are reading too much into what has been put out there.
So we're reading too much into what has been put out there. What are we supposed to think when the woman running for president unveils her economic agenda? Are we not supposed to take her word for it? I mean, what is going on here?
That's Bob Brooks, co-host of American Agenda, 2 o'clock Eastern on Newsmax. President Trump will be in Johnstown, Pennsylvania today after 2 events yesterday, one in Wisconsin and one at a manufacturing plant in Michigan.
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be back with the hardworking patriots of the great state of Michigan. Nice state. And I also want to thank All-Row Steel CEO Randy Glick. Just met Randy, and he's fantastic. The job the family's done, he's done. It's beautiful. And all of the talented workers here at All-Row Steel, I hope you're all happy. Are you happy with the company? I think, yes. I think. Great company. And congratulations on 76 years of manufacturing in Michigan. And you had your best years 4 years ago, but you're going to have even better years coming up, I can tell you that. You're going to have even better. I'm here today with a simple message for the American auto worker and for the American worker. Your long economic nightmare will very soon be over. It's going to be over. Going to turn it around. With your vote, we will defeat Comrade Kamala Harris. And we will bring back the American dream, bigger, better, stronger, and just better, bigger, better. We love the American dream. You don't hear about the American dream. When was the last time you heard about the American dream? They don't talk about it, although they copy everything else I do, so I guess that'll be nice. They'll be copying. They'll be saying, oh, the American dream. She doesn't know what the American dream is. Over the past 4 years, Kamala and crooked Joe Biden have presided over an economic reign of terror, committing one financial atrocity after another. As vice president, Kamala cast the deciding votes that caused the worst inflation in American history. You're all victims of it. We all are. Everybody is a victim of it. It's a nation buster, costing the typical family $28,000. Under her policies, household wealth has plummeted by $33,000 per family. The cost of the typical monthly mortgage has really tripled, and you can't get the money. So, you will go from 2% to 10%, but you can't get the money at 10%. I guess they want more than that, but you just can't get the money. Credit card debt has ballooned by 40%, and they have the highest numbers in history right now. As of about 3 days ago, the highest number in history. Now Kamala says she wants to talk about the future, but she's been there for 3.5 years. She only wants to talk about the future because the past has been the job they've done. Let me tell you, he's the worst president in the history of our country, and she's the worst vice president, and she's the worst border czar in the history of the world. And she's the one who gave us every single disaster that our country is facing right now. Look at Afghanistan. She said, I was the last person in the room. What a horrible, horrible event that was. Kamala's made middle-class life unaffordable and unlivable, and I'm going to make America affordable again. In addition to making it great again, we're going to make it affordable again, and that's going to be starting on day one. Isn't it amazing? They go 3 years, and now they say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The only good thing that she's flip-flopping, she's the greatest flip-flopper, things that she never even thought of. She probably goes back to her room and gets sick to her stomach when she says what she has to say, because she's a Marxist, she's a fascist, and she never believed. I mean, now she's saying, oh, we want to build a strong border. Where has she been for 3.5 years as we took in 20 million people, many of them horrible criminals? My vision is for a middle class that is once again the envy of the entire world. It's going to happen. It's going to happen fast. Thank you.
This is one of the comments from President Trump that is getting a lot of attention today.
Under the Trump administration, your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for, all costs associated with IVF.
The former president also commenting on the Harris-Walz interview.
She didn't look like a leader to me, I'll be honest. I don't see her negotiating with President Xi of China. I don't see her with Kim Jong-un like we did with Kim Jong-un.
The vice president was not asked about Afghanistan last night, but Rob Schmitt spoke with a Gold Star mother to set the record straight on this whole Arlington National Cemetery story involving members of the Trump campaign.
So earlier this week, there was a ceremony at Arlington Cemetery for the 13 Americans killed in the Abbey Gate bombing as the United States fled Afghanistan in humiliating fashion. The two people responsible for the carnage did not attend, but Donald Trump did attend that event. And of course, Trump is the only one who's taking heat from the media tonight. Desperately trying to keep alive PBS's reporting of an altercation between a Trump staffer and a cemetery official that day. New York Times' Maggie Haberman claiming the family of a dead Green Beret is upset by Trump's team filming near his gravesite without their permission. Kelly Barnett was there this week with Trump. She is a Gold Star mother. Her son, Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, was killed in the Abbey Gate suicide bombing, and she joins us tonight. And thank you so much, Kelly, for coming on and joining us. It does seem clear to me that the media wants to protect Biden and Kamala politically. They bear the responsibility for the chaotic exit. They bear responsibility for what happened to your son. So this story is what we get after what we saw and a beautiful ceremony that we saw this week. I want to ask just to start, did you witness any of this alleged tension between the Trump team and the cemetery officials?
No, thank you for having me and letting me have a voice. No, I heard about it later that evening, and the first thing in the morning, we heard nothing. Everything went so smooth. Trump's team was completely respectful. The Arlington staff was completely respectful. I heard nothing.
You know, the claim here is that Trump is politicizing his visit to Arlington and that day that he spent with you. They clearly want Americans to think that Trump is using, the 13 killed as some kind of political pawn. When you speak to him, and I know that you have, and I know that he's rather close to all of these families, do you sense that, or is there an authentic, concern there from him?
No, he is 100% authentic. This year, I reached out to him. My dad is 80 years old. He has a deep respect for Trump. Yeah. My son had a deep respect for Trump. And I said, oh, this would be great this is my dad. He said that this is probably his last time to be able to travel there. I wanted him to lay the wreath, and I said this would be a great opportunity and would be great for our family to have this memory. So we brought him in. Trump was nothing. It was not political whatsoever. He was asking me about Taylor, talking about the family, how we were doing. We would talk about, how we felt that day, and it was a beautiful day, and that it was a joyous day. He told me to, not to cry, that it was happy, that Taylor was happy, and it was a good day. Nothing political.
Yeah.
I'll just say, they're throwing daggers at us Gold Star parents.
Yeah.
We've already been through so much. Can't they just stay in their lane and mind their business? It's had nothing to do with politics whatsoever.
Rob Schmitt with Gold Star mom Kelly Barnett. Her son, Staff Sergeant Taylor Hooper, was killed in the Abbey Gate bombing. And for all the criticism of Donald Trump, who was invited by some of the families, and the picture, which Kelly Barnett said she asked for specifically with Trump, Joe Biden used that same area of Arlington National Cemetery back in a 2020 campaign ad. No one complained about it then. Again, it's only wrong or bad when Donald Trump does it. And a new Gallup poll shows interest in the presidential election and enthusiasm about voting in November at or near record highs, and even more so for Democrats than Republicans. The poll found that 79% of Americans said they have given quite a lot of thought to the election, surpassing the previous August high of 74% in 2008. And this is amazing to me. The Gallup poll found that there is still plenty of time for Trump and Harris to win over independent voters. About 1/3 of the group polled in this Gallup poll said they are still undecided. I'm not sure how many people they polled, but 1/3 of them are still undecided. So plenty of time to still win over those independent voters. The September 10th debate will likely be that deciding factor. That's the next big event, September 10th. ABC News said it rejected another effort by the Harris campaign to get the rules of the presidential debate changed as they pressed for open mics during the entire debate. ABC News said they're using the CNN rules that were implemented mostly by Joe Biden, and that's that. The argument is done. The debate over the debates is done. Don't forget, Donald Trump has a rally 4:30 this afternoon in Pennsylvania. Kamala Harris will be in Pennsylvania sometime over the holiday weekend. You can keep up with all of it and all the news all weekend long on Newsmax, Newsmax 2, and Newsmax.com. You'll likely be busy, or hopefully be busy, doing something over Labor Day weekend. Don't forget, you can keep up with all of your favorite Newsmax shows on the Newsmax app. Make sure you have the app. You can watch anywhere, anytime. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Newsmax Daily. Have a fantastic and safe weekend. Do not eat the lunch meat. And I'm not saying that to be funny. More deaths associated with the listeria found in the boar's head lunch meat or cold cuts. All right? So watch for that and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Hey, it's Jerry Callahan from The Callahan Show. You can listen to us every day. We react to the latest news, politics, sports, and all the madness in the world. I'll give you my opinion with a little edge, a little attitude. I'm an unapologetic right-winger, trapped behind enemy lines in deep blue Boston, so I'm used to taking on the mainstream media mob. You can hear us anywhere you get your podcast, or you can listen every day at newsmax.com/listen.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.